So since season 1 of Battlefield, things have been getting weird for Battlefield 6. In some ways, better, higher player numbers, good things. And in other ways, people have been getting angry. And one of those changes happened today. Some of them happened at the beginning of season 1. And I just quickly wanted to go over them, talk about what these things are, why people are upset, why I think they should or shouldn't be upset about these things, and just get a discussion going, especially with what happened today. So this is what happened today. Community update, challenge, and assignment changes. So we already knew that they were going to be doing some of this after they kind of nerfed the bot lobbies in Portal. They then brought back bots in Breakthrough with Breakthrough Casuals, and they still said that they were going to make some of the various different challenges much easier. First things first, they reduced the XP needed for the first 20 attachments and ranks. We already knew this. I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but they give some examples of some of these challenges that they've really reduced. So for example, for assault engineer support and recon challenges now complete much faster. For assault 2, for example, have squad mates deploy on your spawn beacon reduced from 50 to 5 times. Revives as support from 200 to 60. Some of these just being vastly easier. For this one, inflict damage with assault rifles reduced from requiring 10,000 inflicted damage down to 3,000. Conquest wins from 5 to 2. Now, there are two sides to this. Number one, if you're Greg, the dad that comes home at 10 p.m. every night, tucks his kids into bed, and then goes and plays maybe 3-4 games with his buddies, this is great for you. This is why some of these decisions were made. And clearly they saw some numbers where these things were not getting completed as fast as they should have been. People were not unlocking weapons that they should rather have. So they reduced all of these numbers hugely substantially. And I believe somewhere in here, it says about 90 challenges were changed or updated and essentially made easier, most of which were just made easier by reducing the total amount of numbers. That being said, I think some of the problems with this is some of them just didn't track, so that was a problem to begin with. I just don't know if this is a good thing. When the game first came out and we saw these numbers, people defended this by saying, hey, Battlefield is not a one-year game. These are some of these challenges should take you weeks or even months to complete. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And that's what they were saying about weapon leveling and things like that. And now all of these challenges can be completed in a day or two, like if that. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go moving forward, but it seems as though they're sticking with these numbers, and I'm just curious. Do you think this is too easy now? Is it now on the right level? How are we feeling with this? But it doesn't end there, because we have a video from a man by the name of Big Fry TV, and he had a controversial title, said Battlefield 6 Season 1 is a disaster, and then he put in parentheses, kind of, probably because people were seeing the title and getting mad at it and immediately leaving a comment. Brother, I know how it works. But I'm curious to hear why he says that. I'm assuming it's going to be the RedSec drama, the Steam reviews, things along those lines. So let's hear what he has to say.
Battlefield 6 Season 1 is kind of a fucking disaster. Ooh. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel.
There's a hook.
And today we're diving into the full-blown shitstorm that's been happening with Battlefield 6 Season 1. What went wrong?
What's interesting, though, is this Season 1 happened in the same week as Arc Raiders. Let me pull up some player numbers.
Why the community is review bombing RedSec on Steam, and how EA and DICE can counter-correct and steer this ship right. I'm also somebody who was
All right, so this, oh my God, this is not what I expected. This is 4:10 p.m. on, what night is this? Wednesday night, Eastern Standard Time. This is what the numbers are sitting at right now. Battlefield 6, 343, Arc Raiders, 306. I did not, Arc Raiders is going to overtake them in the next couple days, I bet. I would put money on it. And this number has dwindled fast. So clearly people are dropping off of Battlefield 6. So he might actually be a little bit more onto something than we think. I'm curious this weekend what these player numbers look like. We're going to check back on Saturday and maybe make a video about it. It'll be interesting. Anyway.
Accepted into the Battlefield content creator program. So I don't want to be making these kind of videos. But alas, here we are. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Battlefield content. Let's get into it.
So also, what that tells me is that the Battle Royale did not retain players, because that's what the player numbers were for just Battlefield 6 before the Battle Royale came out. which means, yeah, players moved from the game over to Battle Royale, but it didn't retain the players that came for Battle Royale, which doesn't really surprise me because like once you get those few wins in the Battle Royale, it's like, oh, been there, done that. It's a great Battle Royale, but anyway, I divest. Heavy metal.
All right, let's boil down the basics. Battlefield 6 dropped Season 1 with their Battle Royale called RedSec included as a free-to-play addition to the game. And
I will say the same thing that I said for Splitgate. They should have waited longer till their player numbers started dropping off to make another boom with the Battle Royale. That's my opinion.
Should have been a hype moment for the franchise, turned into honestly not that great of a reception at all. Yes, there's a new map, Blackwell Fields, that really isn't that great. It feels like if Liberation Peak was just like smashed down with a hammer and there's really no like height differential at all. It's one of the flattest maps that I've played in quite some time, which makes it a
lot of people do not like this map.
Just not that fun to play. There's some new modes like Strike Point, which isn't that great. We obviously have the Battle Pass, which, well, starting to see a trend here. It really isn't that great. Obviously, that's just the live service bells and whistles as per usual. But what we have here also is the launch of their Battle Royale called RedSec, which
I'm curious what he has to say about this.
Tell by the name, again, isn't that great at all.
I think it's probably one of the better Battle Royales currently on the market. Like, I think I enjoy it right now much more than Warzone. But it's nothing new. It's nothing revolutionary, where Arc Raiders, as its player numbers are climbing higher and higher. Also, the one thing that I find interesting, I know there's a voice changer, but a lot of the people that I run into on voice chat are females. And yes, there's a voice changer, but I do think you can tell a difference between the two. And I think it's just a game that is spreading the gap between a wider audience of people than just normally playing extraction shooters. Because now, if you play that game solo, it's a pretty friendly game. It's mainly PvE.
Say that it's really that bad. I will say it's definitely a lot more mediocre than I thought it was going to be. There are some cool features with RedSec, but the main problem that people are getting pissed off about is, remember those weekly challenges that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks?
So they already fixed this.
The game has launched. Yeah, all of those challenges, or at least a large portion of those weekly challenges, at least in week 1 here, are tied to playing the Battle Royale.
So they've now made it so that you can filter them out and do not have to have them in Battle Royale. They fixed it pretty quick.
Or playing this Gauntlet mode, which much like everything else I've said in this video, isn't that great at all. There are weekly challenges that ask you to play 5 matches of Gauntlet, or ask you to do damage to vehicles in Battle Royales, or ask you to get kills in the RedSec mode, which for people who bought into the Battlefield 6 multiplayer, core multiplayer experience, they don't want to play Battle Royale, or maybe there's some crossover, but a vast majority from what I'm seeing don't give a shit about your Battle Royale mode. Leading up to this launch, there was a huge, like, I would say online war between
I think there still is
the Battlefield 6 core community and that streamer community that always wants the hyper aggressive Call of Duty style crackhead movement, the Battle Royales, the live service, the skins, all that stuff. They've been warring for months now leading up into this launch. And now we have a crossing of worlds here where the people who are playing the Battle Royale are going to be able to get their challenges done. They're going to be able to grind their weapons and do everything else. But there's a ton of people that are playing core multiplayer, trying to level up and do their challenges.
So do you want to hear a hot take? Gauntlet game mode is a game mode that probably should have been in just Battlefield 6 to begin with. And a lot of people really do like that Gauntlet game mode. But they released it with the free-to-play Battle Royale because they need a respawn mode like Plunder in Warzone in order for those people to be able to level up weapons and kind of rank themselves up faster. Because generally speaking, the Battle Royales, it takes longer. You're not getting as many engagements, things along those lines. I truly believe that Gauntlet was probably meant for Battlefield 6 to begin with, but then got moved over. And I do like the system, the kind of tournament style system. I love tournaments. Give me gunfight tournaments in Call of Duty again, please. But yeah.
That now have to be forced to play a mode that they don't give a shit about. This has led to a significant review bombing both on Battlefield 6 and Battlefield 6 RedSec on Steam, which is now sitting at mixed. At the time of writing the script for this video, it was sitting at mostly negative and was one of the worst rated Battlefield products in over a decade
of all time.
Which is saying something. It's starting to claw its way back, but to say that the launch of the Battle Royale was a little bit lackluster would be an overstatement, actually. Now, here's the thing about RedSec that people are saying is actually really good is the size of the maps. Jack Frags just dropped a video the other day where somebody took the golf course portion of the Battle Royale map and turned it into a conquest map, and wouldn't you know it, it actually plays pretty well as a large-scale Battlefield map.
I wonder if the Battlefield 6 community is going to be mad when they bring in some regions of this map as conquest maps and as breakthrough maps. Because they're going to do that.
Who would have thought? It's almost as if there was some YouTuber talking about the size of the maps going into this launch. Who was that again? Oh yeah, right. It was me. The maps in Battlefield 6 are so fucking small. And when we got to Blackwell Fields, it kind of feels like it might be a little bigger than some of them, but it still feels very constrained, especially in the airspace. It's just not that Battlefield scale that we're all looking for. Now, when you jump into RedSec and you actually get to feel that scale across multiple areas of that map, that's, you know, unfortunately, that's like one of the closest experiences
and better destruction
to Battlefield
too,
in terms of that all-out warfare, combined arms scale that we wanted in the core multiplayer.
So it's this frustration, right? That like you should be celebrating the fact that a battle royale did the destruction and scale and vehicles relatively correctly. That should be celebrated. Yet the Battlefield community is pissed that they don't feel as though they've done that correctly with Battlefield 6. So there's that butting of heads there, if you will.
Which I'm sure is leading to a lot of frustrations as well. Many longtime Battlefield fans are going, the core multiplayer experience isn't on the scale of older Battlefield titles. You know, we wanted big maps, we wanted vehicular warfare, we wanted team-based huge chaos. And now we're getting small maps, flashy skins, live service battle passes, and a shift towards that battle royale grind with the challenges is leaving a really bad taste in a lot of players' mouths. Now, I will say, surprising to me, one of the modes that is getting a lot of love with this Season 1 update is the Gauntlet mode. So basically how it works is it basically takes like the time to kill and the armor system and the pacing.
Like, I don't know why no one else is saying like this should have been a Battlefield 6 mode to begin with.
Of a battle royale, but it pits teams in smaller, kind of more confined spaces completing missions.
Oh, and like multiplayer maps?
Like a gauntlet, it starts to knock off the teams that aren't doing enough to stay in the top standings. So in the first round, you might need to get to the top 6, and you got to complete missions and get kills and earn points to be able to stay in the game to go to the next round. I gotta say, as a Battlefield core fan, I really think that mode would have been great with Battlefield time to kill and not the armor and the going down and all of that.
Oh, almost like it was meant to be there in the first place, but then they adapted it to the free, like almost exactly like I said.
Stuff. I'm just not a fan of it. The pacing of the game is so fucking chaotic with so many teams running around at once that it, you know, is surprising. A lot of people are giving it a lot of props. I think that is way more crackheady and Call of Duty vibe than RedSec itself. And I just wasn't a fan of it. I played the gauntlet matches literally to finish the challenge, and then I never want to touch it again until I have to. Contrast that with the game mode Strike Point, which is basically a 1v 4v4 mode, and it basically works like Gunfight in Call of Duty, but with a squad of 4 players. You all have one life. There's a capture point in the middle of the map. You have to win 6 rounds in order to win the game. I'm usually a huge fan of one life modes, but the pacing in that game mode is also really, really strange. You have that down mechanic.
Oh, there is the down mechanic.
You also have really
well, I guess, yeah, that's there is in multiplayer as well.
Sometimes feels like you're playing attack and defend, where some teams might spawn closer to the capture point than others. And unlike Gunfight, the capture point opens way quicker in the round. It's not like when you get to the very end, the capture point opens and then it's there. It opens really, really quickly, and it kind of gives one team the advantage, and it makes you have to push if you're on the other team, and you can't just like strategically move around the map because one team is already capturing the point and the capture goes really, really fast. It feels like a very tacked on, not well thought out mode which again, I wasn't a fan of, even though I'm a huge fan of modes like Search and Destroy.
Does anybody know what Marksman thought of that mode? I guarantee he played it, but I didn't see what he thought of it.
One life modes are my shit. I think one of the best examples of a one life mode done right was Firefight in Insurgency Sandstorm, where it's essentially a one life domination, but every time you capture a point, your entire team comes back.
I played a game mode like that.
It created a sense of urgency to capture the points and be
Didn't Call of Duty have a mode like that at one point?
And I think a mode like that in Battlefield would go so
I
hard.
swear,
but this one just felt
like Modern Warfare
a little
2,
bit tacked on.
like the new one
like
had.
They didn't really think it through and didn't really play test it enough to get the pacing right, to get the spawns right. It kind of felt a lot like Rush leading into the launch.
Or was it when you captured a flag, your whole team spawned back? It was something like that.
Where it felt like the spawns were fucked. The MCOM locations just didn't make any sense. So I wasn't a fan of Strike Point. I'm not a fan of Gauntlet. I'm actually not really mad at RedSec outside of the audio bugs that we've been running into, where sometimes there'll be a tank right next to you and you can't even hear the engine audio, and you basically just hear nothing, and then you die from an explosion, and then the kill cam just goes, oh yeah, right over there. Yeah, right over there. There was a tank. You just didn't hear him. That's weird. I also think there is a shit ton of desync and hit reg issues. David Serlin came out on Twitter and said the game basically runs at 30 hertz until you get down to the final circle, which then
So again, making the same mistakes that Warzone makes.
60 hertz or 60 tick rate servers, which if you compare it to other
better
battle
than
royales
Warzone
in the industry is actually pretty good. I think Apex Legends runs at 45, Call of Duty runs at 20. But
I was literally just gonna say, is Call of Duty 20 though?
Battlefield RedSec, it feels like there's some hit reg issues as well as a shit ton of desync where I might be
time to kill versus time to death,
just getting shot, and it just doesn't feel very good. There's a lot of small things that, coming from somebody who actually did play a lot of Warzone back when Warzone was hot and popping, there are some quality of life things with the player controller and the movement that you definitely take for granted. You can tell Battlefield it's like they attempted to make like a Warzone adjacent experience with different missions and a different way to get your loadouts, which I think there are a lot of cool ideas.
I think there's a lot of things that are better, like ranking up. I think there should be no loadouts. I've said it before. A lot of people disagree with me, but I thought the weapon ranking system is so good that I think that's a better system for the battle royale as a whole.
I just wish that it was that pacing with the quality of life and the player controller and the fluidity of the animations of like cutting your parachute, grabbing a zip line, going up. It feels like at some points it feels like Warzone at home, but then you actually look at what's going on in the gameplay with all of the missions and the vehicle calls and stuff, and I actually really like that. I love the pacing of the game itself.
Pacing's good,
especially when that circle's coming in, and if you touch that fire, you're dead.
The circle is way cooler than Warzone. It's way cooler than any battle royale, let's be honest.
I love it. There are a lot of people that don't like RedSec, and I don't know if they're not a fan of the fact that it's being shoehorned into the challenges and shoved down people's throats for the battle pass, or if they just don't like the gameplay and the mode itself. I think there's a lot of valid criticisms there, but I think the whole launch of Season 1 has really tainted the experience for a lot of players.
Yep.
The good thing is RedSec is a free-to-play experience.
I think in conjunction with ARC coming out at the exact same time and the predominant audience of both being PC has also at that same time hit when they're doing the battle royale was really bad. I think they should have waited to November 18th. Once Call of Duty was out, then release their thing after.
So there's no
when
money
they
up front
introduced
to
the new
but I
Eastwood map.
think that Battlefield RedSec shouldn't have been tied directly into Battlefield
that
6.
as well.
I think it should have been its own separate launcher.
I said that from the beginning.
Separate game, its own separate economy and ecosystem, and leave the core Battlefield experience to the players who want it there. Tying it together the way you did is, again, another half-assed, half-thought-out decision that clearly wasn't well planned out in advance. And I just think they botched the execution. Now, I know there's a lot of
they were just trying to do the same thing as COD.
The future of Battlefield 6 with this BR implementation. I do think the fact that we're getting the California map here in a couple of weeks, and the fact that we did just get Blackwell Fields, which I'm curious to see what California is going to be like. I don't think it's going to be anything much different. I don't know why these guys are just hesitating to create a map with some actual scale that requires you to maybe utilize the vehicles to get from point to point a little bit more. But the one thing that at the very least I can give them some credit for here is the fact that unlike Call of Duty, it does feel like they are still really trying to support that core experience with new maps and new content.
Well,
with Call of Duty, I mean, you guys were there for 2019 and
yeah, this is true. Like the last few years, the amount of maps in multiplayer compared to what they did in Warzone, it's like they picked what their favorite thing was and they're like, we're going to support that. And it predominantly was Warzone.
Warfare 2. As soon as the
Even
Battle
though it
Royale
didn't get a lot
drops,
too.
whether it's season 1 or halfway through season 1 or whatever, it feels like the core multiplayer experience just gets left by the wayside and is essentially dead. I don't think that's going to happen here with Battlefield 6, and I think that's why there is so much backlash here, because we've already seen this happen
that's potential,
with the competition. Nobody wants to see this game get abandoned in favor of the Battle Royale, which again, in this point is a pretty middling experience overall. And one thing I know a lot of people are frustrated about is the fact that as soon as you open a $70 game, you are greeted with, hey, go to the store. Hey, go buy this. Hey, go look at this skin. Go buy Battlefield.
If you haven't seen the video where I came back to Call of Duty after 2 months of not playing it and had like 6 ads or 7 ads before I could even select a playlist, was insane.
Bro, go buy premium, go buy this. And it's like a fucking it's like the ad blocker broke as soon as you start the game. And I think a lot of people were hoping that this game wasn't going to turn into a fucking Call of Duty clone. And they were hoping that Battlefield would have been the game to rescue them from the shit that we've been dealing with Call of Duty for the last 10 plus years. And so I think there's just a lot of like reminiscent qualities of opening up Call of Duty and being bombarded like you're playing a fucking mobile game. We're seeing that same kind of stuff leak in here. And granted, I think there's a very small percentage of the player base that was just pissed off that there was a battle pass to begin with. So there's a lot of noise around this release, a lot of middling to negative noise about pretty much everything across the board. Here's what Battlefield Studios, in my opinion, needs to do to completely salvage this and
I'm very interested to hear what he has to say here.
Move on from whatever the fuck this was. You guys need to completely separate the challenges from the Battle Royale and the core multiplayer.
So they didn't do that, but they made it so that you could rotate them out.
Player experience, and you need to do it soon. Week 2 is coming up, I believe, tomorrow at the time of me recording this video. If those challenges aren't separated and we got to go another week having to play fucking Gauntlet and having to play Battle Royale to get weeklies done, you're going to have a lot of pissed off people on your hands. You need to separate them.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong that they made it so that you could rotate them out?
Royale challenges for the people who fucking play over there and leave the core multiplayer experience to the people who paid $70 fucking for it. Great. Moving forward, the content that you're bringing to that core multiplayer experience has to have that Battlefield identity. You need the bigger maps, vehicles, team-based, objective-based gameplay. Emphasize what makes Battlefield unique and stop making maps that appeal to the Call of Duty crowd. They have their game coming out on November 14th. They're most likely going to leave you when Black Ops 7 comes out.
Very true.
Fuck them. And I think moving forward, again, another piece of credit that I can give them is they are being very transparent and they are being very open and listening to the community.
The amount of stuff that Call of Duty is taking from Battlefield, like, for example, Raven, for the first time ever, putting out the same kind of this thing, the comms post. Raven did one of these, and they have never done that before, and it's because it went well for Battlefield. So yeah,
feedback. Now, whether or not it gets implemented in a timely fashion or fast enough for people to not be upset about it, that kind of remains to be seen. But they did pull out the very goofy blue skin that people were bitching about for the last week, so I guess that's a positive. I like Battlefield 6. I still think it's a fucking solid game, and I'm enjoying playing it. I'm even having some fun with RedSec in between my raids in Arc Raiders. Thank fuck Arc Raiders came out to give me a break from Battlefield so I can jump back and forth, or else I'd probably be tearing my hair out.
It's actually really nice having multiple games to play. Like, I'm actually looking forward to like January coming around and being able to be like, okay, Battlefield time, okay, Arc time, okay, COD time. Like, it's freaking nice.
But for you guys who are out here on Reddit, Twitter, fucking Discord, wherever, keep sharing your opinions, keep voicing it, keep leaving those negative reviews, because nothing is going to change if we don't try to hold them accountable and actually implement the changes that we want. I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to buy things because that literally doesn't matter anymore. For every person that chooses not to buy a battle pass, there are 100 whales lining up to buy every single skin in the store. So that we've lost that fight. That doesn't fucking matter. All I can hope and pray for is that the upcoming content for the core Battlefield experience is fucking solid. The whole season has kind of been a miss for me. Some of the better experiences that people are having this season,
I think it's just the live service model people don't freaking care about anymore. I think it's like, oh yeah, you added new weapons, neat. You added new maps, neat. It's just like the ways of playing is, and that's why I think RedSec is more popular than Warzone. It's a new way to play something that already existed, right? So like what Ark is doing that Battlefield and Call of Duty aren't is it's something different that's accessible and more accessible version of an extraction shooter that didn't really exist before, and it's done well.
are from Portal, which should never be a thing. Portal should not be the place where people go to get that core Battlefield experience. We didn't spend $70 to have to actually mod in the core classic Battlefield experience.
True.
So, you know what doesn't cost you $70 though? Subscribing to the Patreon. You can join this long list of people.
It's only $69.90. I'm just kidding.
Supporting the channel every month for as low as $4.99. But listen, if you guys don't want to do that, leave a like on the video, subscribe with the bell set to all so you.
I think it was good points. I think it was a little overly negative, but that's like kind of what you have to do on YouTube these days. I don't think like everything they added was bad. I think it's a better battle pass system than Call of Duty's. I think at least having the challenges as an option, not just a playtime dump. And a bunch of other things are decent with it. There's nothing that matched the hype of the launch, and I didn't expect there to be. And I think expecting there to be is a falsehood. So yeah, not insane, but are they making decisions that would make them fall down a slippery slope? I don't know. I'm also curious to hear what you guys have to say about the challenges that they changed today. Did they go too far?